boys arrived in Seattle on June 14th and spent 2 days exploring the city. The trip from Seattle through Portland and down Highway 101 and the Coast Highway gave them a chance to unwind and speculate about the upcoming hikes. The coast redwoods and wet forests made for some great photography by Jed. The Pacific Ocean was in its usual gray summer garb, fog, and calm winds. San Francisco was the goal for the day, to stay in Alameda with Aunt Linda. The next morning, the boys met up with Dave Decker in Gilroy and headed toward Lee Vining, taking in as much of the Merced River and Yosemite as a day would allow. While the boys wound down the coast, I'd been exploring the Las Vegas area. I arrived in Las Vegas on June 14th, about the time the boys were settling into a motel in Seattle. Not being a fan of temperatures over 70 degrees, I spent a lot of time in the rental car touring the area around Las Vegas. Even the coyotes walk on 2 legs to avoid the hot gravel at Lake Mead. After visiting Hoover Dam, I read in the paper that a murder had occurred at the hotel nearby. I assumed CSI Las Vegas will get to the bottom of it. Meanwhile, I was getting to the bottom of the Colorado River by traveling downstream from Hoover Dam to Willow Creek. This is where Lake Mojave ends, and you can still see a little of the wild Colorado below Hoover Dam. Of course, the water is so clear that you can see these carp, 10 to 15 feet down. Not quite the color red river. Las Vegas means the meadows in Spanish, and early travelers here found green grass growing where the springs came to the surface with water from the spring mountains to the west. Mount Charleston, at 11,918 feet, provides a cooling contrast to the sweltering 109 degrees in Las Vegas. Kathy and I headed there on Monday, June 16th, and started the hike to Mary Jane Falls. The trail climbs 900 vertical feet over a distance of 2.4 miles, so I figured it was a good way to test my stamina and equipment. Let's just say it took 2 hours to climb, but only a half hour to descend. I couldn't imagine a waterfall in this arid country, but I kept going till I got to the top. Not a lot of water, but some beautiful views and a virtual garden of shooting star and columbine. The temperature was right around 70 degrees. I wanted to experience 120-degree heat, so we headed for Badwater Basin, the lowest spot in North America. I got my wish, and later I wrote a postcard noting that I've been to hell, I'll be good from now on. Furnace Creek is actually a relief from the bleak and well-named Death Valley. We made it to Lone Pine and headed up through the Alabama hills to Whitney Portal. Wednesday evening was spent in Bishop. On Thursday, Kathy and I headed toward Lee Vining. On the way, we stopped at Rock Creek Canyon and hiked to Hidden Lake. Kathy and I both remarked that this area reminded us of Turtle Lake and the surrounding country near Rosso, Ontario, Canada. Mammoth Ski Area provides an oasis of civilization for those who need it, We tried to avoid as much of it as possible. The north branch of the San Joaquin River roars past this area this time of the year, filled with snowmelt from the Ansel Adams Wilderness and Yosemite to the northwest. Devil's Postpile is a group of basalt columns fractured into geometric shapes due to slow cooling while deep underground. The tops of the columns looked like someone's patio. Around 4 p.m., we arrived in Lee Vining and checked into Murphy's Motel. Our adventure has only begun, as you will see in the next exciting episode, Hiking in Yosemite.